Okay, so Chitraketu's lamentation. Natasya sampada sarva महिष्यवामलोचना सार्वभौमस्य भूष्येयम् अभवन् प्रीतिहेतवा. His queens all had beautiful faces and attractive eyes. Yet neither his opulences, his hundreds and thousands of queens, nor the lands of which he was the supreme proprietor were sources of happiness for him. Because he did not have a son, and that's why, even though his wives were very beautiful, he was not happy. And he was a king. He was very popular among his citizens. Everybody loved him. He had a lot of land under his control, but still he was not happy. Okay, so the next verse. Once upon a time, when the powerful sage named Angira was traveling all over the universe without engagement, by sweet will he came to the palace of King Chitraketu. So one sage came that time. Chitraketu immediately stood up from his throne and offered him worship. He offered drinking water and eatables, and in this way performed his duty as a host to a great guest. When the rishi was seated very comfortably, the king, restraining his mind and senses, sat on the ground at the side of rishi's feet. So this is how guests should be received. Guests should be treated like as good as God, and one should give a sitting place, some nice things to eat and drink. First, water is offered. I remember in my childhood, whenever some guest would come, my mother would say, of course, they would sit first, and then my mother would say, bring some water. And so we would bring some water, offer water, then some, ask them what they will eat, like that. So, and the guests would come without notice, right? That is called atithi. Atithi means there is no time, scheduled time. It's not like you call them and they come. And so I'm coming. No, they just come, just show up. So that was how it was before. Now we have to call and see. Yes, so many things. There were no phones at that time. Phones in India, at least, were not so easily available. Many people didn't have phones in the 80s, like that, 70s. When the rishi was seated very comfortably, the king, restraining his mind and senses, sat on the ground. And he sat, although he was the king, he gave so much respect, he sat at the rishi's feet, showing that he's taking a humble position before a spiritually advanced person. So he's Angira Muni, he's a renunciant and spiritually advanced. And so as a Grihastha, he's showing him respect and sitting. Okay. And he's trying to control his mind and senses. He was feeling sad, but he didn't want to show his sadness. But somehow Angira Muni would detect sadness on his face. So face is the index of mind. O King Parikshit, when Chitraketu, bent low in humility, was seated at the lotus feet of the great sage, the sage congratulated him for his humility and hospitality. The sage said, yes, you're doing good because you're humble, and thank you for all the nice reception you gave me. The sage addressed him in the following words. The great sage Angira said, my dear king, I hope that your body and mind and your royal associates and paraphernalia are well. When the seven properties of material nature, the total material energy, the ego, and the five objects of sense gratification are in proper order, the living entity within the material elements is happy. So Ayurveda also, they want to check if the balance, if there is all kapha pitta vayu is in balance, the body is healthy, and you have good, then you have good life, and then you have all facilities for enjoyment. Then the living entity in the material consciousness feels very happy. The living entity within the material elements is happy. Without these seven elements, one cannot exist. Similarly, a king is always protected by seven elements. The seven elements, total material energy, the ego, and the five objects of sense gratification. Okay. Similarly, a king is always protected by seven elements: his instructor, Swami or Guru, his ministers, his kingdom, his fort, his treasury, his royal order, and his friends. So, king always used to take guidance from the Brahmanas, and so they would guide him. So, he's protected in that way. When you have good guidance in your life, then you're protected. So, the devotees are supposed to, the gurus, they give good guidance. His ministers were there, they also give him advice. His kingdom, his fort to protect him from attacks of other enemies, and his royal order and his friends. And of course, his army was there. As it is quoted by Srila Sridhar Swami in his Bhagavatam commentary, a king is not alone. He first has his spiritual master, the supreme guide. Then come his ministers, his kingdom, his fortifications, his treasury, his system of law and order, and his friends or allies. So if you have somebody whom you can go in the time of distress, or even when you have confusion, like, or you want to make the right choices, somebody whom you can go to, then you feel like sheltered. When Srila Prabhupada passed away yesterday, we were hearing many devotees were feeling they lost their guide and friend, like that. So we should have somebody in our life whom we can confide in, and we can reveal our mind, reveal our heart, take suitable spiritual guidance, and somebody who's a well-wisher, like that. So that will help us to be emotionally protected also, if we have that. And that is Guhyamakyati Prichati. So life presents many different kinds of situations and difficulties. So if there is somebody to whom we can share and take guidance, Krishna conscious guidance, of course, then it will be very helpful. Somebody who can inspire us when we are down in spiritual life, somebody who can inspire us to come back on the path. So like this, all these things are very helpful. So if these seven are properly maintained, the king is happy. Similarly, as explained in Bhagavad Gita, Dehino asmin yatha dehe. The living entity, the soul, is within the material covering of the Mahat Tattva, ego and Panchat Tanmatra, the five objects of sense gratification. When these seven are in proper order, the living entity is in a mood of pleasure. When you have, for all the five senses, you have objects to gratify, something nice to eat, something nice to see, something nice to hear, then the living entity is feeling very happy. Of course, this can be in a spiritual way. When you have nice things to look at, means the beautiful form of the deity, the beautiful pictures, or the Shastra. When you have nice Krishna Katha to hear, when you have nice things, the fragrances, right, that there are there in the temple. So all these things can be also in a spiritual way. And music to hear, we have nice kirtan, we have chanting of the holy name when talking about Krishna. When these seven are in proper order, the living entity is in a mood of pleasure. But that can be also in material consciousness. One can have all these things, then he feels very happy when he has all whatever he needs. He has good food to eat and nice movies to watch and nice music to hear. So then the living entity feels very happy. Generally, when the associates of the king are quiet and obedient, the king can be happy. So there is no revolution in the kingdom. Everybody is very obedient and accepts the king as the authority. Therefore, the great sage Angira Rishi inquired about the king's personal health and the good fortune of his seven associates. When we inquire from a friend whether everything is well, we are concerned not only with his personal self, but also with his family, his source of income, and his assistants or servants. All of them must be well, and then a person can be happy. Like if you are healthy, but your family, your child is very sick, then not be happy. So we say, how is your family? How is your mother, father? How is your husband, wife? How is your children? How is your job doing? Everything. So okay.
Yeah, that's the difference between material happiness and spiritual happiness. In material happiness, everything has to be right. Then you can enjoy.
Yes.
One thing goes a different route, then you become sad. Chitraketu had so much opulence and so many wives. He was himself very beautiful, wealthy, opulent. So many people are respecting him, but nothing is making, because there is one thing that he doesn't have. And that's the case for everybody in this material consciousness. They may have everything, they're not grateful for that, but that one thing that they don't have, there's always a but, we say, right?
Yes. So yeah, I was thinking something. So everything has to go right, and then one will be happy. Okay. So the next verse. O king, O lord of humanity, when a king directly depends upon his associates and follows their instructions, he is happy. So Angira Muni is telling, yes, when one has good relationships and follows the direction of the superiors, he is happy. Similarly, when his associates offer their gifts and activities to the king and follows his orders, they are also happy. So when there is, yeah, both ways, there is obedience, there is happiness. The actual happiness of a king and his dependents is described in this verse. A king should not simply give orders to his dependents because he is supreme. Sometimes he must follow their instructions. Similarly, the dependent should depend on the king. Like Prabhupada would ask sometimes his disciples, so what should I do in this? What do you think is the right? Sometimes he would seek like advice pertaining to some subject matters, and he would give advice, of course, as a guru instruction. Similarly, the dependent should depend on the king. This mutual dependence will make everyone happy. So there is give and take. Like dadati pratighinnati guhyamakyati prichati. So when there is give and take, then there is good relationship and there is happiness. Okay. So, O king, are your wives? So it is not my way or highway, like that kind of thing. Although he's the king, he can do that. but he is very kind actually. So, O king, are your wives, citizens, secretaries, and servants, and the merchants who sell spices and oil under your control? Are your wives and citizens, everybody's under your control? Are you also in full control of your ministers, the inhabitants of your palace, your provincial governors, your sons, and your other dependents? So everything under your control. The master or king and his subordinate should be interdependent. Through cooperation, both of them can be happy. Like in family, there has to be cooperation, right? Maybe the husband is working outside and the wife is at home. So the wife cleans the house, makes cooks for the husband when he comes back, so in this way takes care of the children, like that. So there is cooperation. So different duties are handled. There is cooperation. There has to be cooperation among different ashrams also. Atapumvir dvijashrishta varnashrama vibhagasya swanustitasya dharmasya sansiddhir haritoshanam. In the Bhagavatam it said that there are four divisions, and when all of them cooperate and they all are looking to please the Supreme Lord, or they act according to the directions of the Supreme Lord, then there is no exploitation and there is happiness and there is cooperation. So Prabhupada wanted this cooperation among devotees, because that is the, in Kali Yuga we are very quarrelsome. Yesterday we were reading. Very quarrelsome, and so many relationships break because of petty quarrels, some very insignificant things. A big quarrel starts. So, devotees should not, like one of the qualities of a devotee is it doesn't get into quarrels. I think that is, isn't it? Let's see. He does not make anyone his enemy.
Ajat.
Ajata Shatra Vashanta. Yeah. He offers respects to everyone. He does not desire any respect for himself. That is Amanina Manadena. And he does not make anyone his enemy. Means I think that is also sometimes translated as not quarreling with others unnecessarily. We should not have arguments with
Yes.
others.
Yasmin no dvijite loko. He does not give distress to others, nor is he disturbed by others.
Yeah, this is, if you see this, yeah, yeah, does not, yeah, yasman no dvijate loko. So this quality is listed by Chaitanya. Kind to everyone, does not quarrel with anyone, fixed in the absolute truth, equal to everyone, all these things, yeah. So sometimes that is listed as he has no enemies or something. So yeah, everybody can have their way of thinking, and as long as we all agree to serve Krishna, then we can unite on that principle. Everybody can have, oh, where did the jiva fall down from? Okay, it fell down from the spiritual world, or it fell down from the, whether it is mercy or free will. Okay, whatever it is, everybody can then have their thing, and we respect. There is unity in diversity. So, so anyhow, so that's how there should be. And by arguments, you're not going to get the absolute truth. Just by arguments, tarko pratishta shrutoyor vibhinna. You get you get the absolute truth by developing all the good qualities and becoming a pure devotee of Krishna. Just by debate and all these things, you are not going to get Krishna. So you get Krishna by submission, by Atmanivedanam, by surrendering to Krishna, by following his instructions and like that in our day-to-day life. So if the king's mind is fully controlled, and we quarrel because we all have our own false ego, I'm right. So that kind of mood is there at everybody, at even at national level. Putin is thinking he's right, and others are thinking, Zelensky is thinking he's right. And of course, who is right? So by argument and this thing, you cannot find out the absolute truth. Only by following the footsteps of the great acharyas. Like that, who came in Vrindavan? One Digvijay Pandit came. Rup Narayan, he came and he challenged. He was in a mood of debate. So Rupa Goswami signed, okay, you know, you're better than me in knowledge, and you know, we can learn from Rupa Goswami, who is we are supposed to be Rupanugas. So we can read that later on, that pastime. And he was in a mood of debate. So Rupa Goswami says, okay, I'll sign. But when he went to Jiva Goswami, then Jiva Goswami defeated Rupa Narayan. And then Rupa Goswami was not happy with him. Like that. So, but anyhow, okay. One place I heard in a class that our thing is not to just defeat everyone by debate and this thing, but to induce everybody to chant Hare Krishna. Because that is the way we are going to make spiritual advancement. Of course, we present the philosophy in a very nice way, but there may be differences amongst devotees about why this, why that. But ultimately, everybody should chant Hare Krishna, serve Krishna, spread Krishna consciousness. If we agree on this basic principles, then there is no need for any disagreement on smaller topics. We all agree that we should serve Srila Prabhupada, we should distribute his books, we should become humble, we should become pure. So, okay. If the king's mind is fully controlled, all his family members and governmental officers are subordinate to him. His provincial governors present taxes on time without resistance, and what to speak of other lesser servants. So, king also, his mind should be controlled. Right? That is another thing. Because he's a leader. A leader is supposed to. And if the mind is controlled, then you are happy. As Avanti Brahmana says, the mind is the cause of happiness or distress. So, uncontrolled mind, in which there are so many, mind's hankerings are unlimited, right? So that is what happens. So, if the mind is all the happiness, it's because of how you perceive things, and all the distress is like that. If the king's mind is fully controlled, all his family members and governmental officers are subordinate to him. His provincial governors present taxes on time without resistance, and what to speak of lesser servants. Angira asked the king whether his mind was also under control. This is most essential for happiness. And to control the mind, it's not so easy. So you have to give it some engagement. Otherwise, like we say to a child, you just sit down here and do nothing. That's not going to happen. But if you give a nice, maybe phone, nowadays they give phone. So I saw some children who were very naughty, but when then given the phone, they will sit for hours together. They'll sit on the sofa and they'll not do any mischief because their mind is absorbed now in that phone and whatever the game, whatever they are seeing. So that's not the good way to do it. But unless they are doing some Krishna conscious, but otherwise they become addicted to the phone and they can't eat until they have phone with them. Whereas we all ate, we didn't have any phone in our childhood, right? We were still eating. So nowadays they need phone to eat. So while looking at the phone, they eat. And of course, we also do like that sometimes, which we should not do. It may be Krishna conscious thing, but still, we can hear class. In Los Angeles, when I went there some years back, during breakfast, they will one devotee will read from Krishna book, and then we'll all sit down and hear. O King Chitraketu, I can observe that your mind is not pleased. You seem not to have achieved your desired goal. Is this because of you yourself, or has it been caused by others? Your pale face reflects your deep anxiety. So we can be distressed because of others, or we can be distressed either unfulfilled expectations or unfulfilled material desires. So somehow Angira Muni could detect Chitraketu Maharaj was not happy. So, okay, so then what is the reason? Shukdev Goswami said, O King Parikshit, although the great sage Angira knew everything, he inquired from the king in this way. Angira Muni could know also what was the reason, but he just asked to be doubly sure. I don't know why he asked, but sometimes Krishna will also ask, although he knows. So great sages may know, they can read the mind. Thus King Chitraketu, desiring a son, bent low in great humility and spoke to the great sage as follows. Since the face is indexed to the mind, a saintly person can study the condition of one's mind by seeing his face. When Angira Rishi remarked about the king's discolored face, King Chitraketu explained the cause of his anxiety as follows. King Chitraketu said, O great Lord Angira, because of austerity, knowledge, and transcendental samadhi, you are freed from all the reactions of sinful life. So King Chitraketu said, you are very pure. Therefore, as a perfect yogi, you can understand everything, external and internal, regarding embodied conditioned souls like us. So he is referred to as Bhagavan. Chitraketur Vacha Bhagavan Kim Na Viditam. So sometimes powerful sages are referred to as Bhagavan. Narad Muni and Angira Muni is referred to as Bhagavan. Tapo Jnana Samadhi means they are not God, but they are godly. And they have Yoginam Dvashta Papanam Bahiranta Saririshu. Okay. O great soul, you are aware of everything, yet you are asking me why I am full of anxiety. Therefore, in response to your order, let me disclose the cause. So, as long as you have material desires, something will not be fulfilled, then you will be distressed. Right? That's how it is. And these material desires never end, right? So, you can only be happy when you have no material desires. That's the. Otherwise, you keep hankering, and one after another they are coming. And yeah. So, at some point, you say, now, okay, done with all these things. I will not desire anything material. Because desire is in our hand, right? What we desire. Some desires are coming because of our conditioning, but we can say no to those desires if we want. So I don't want this, okay. So that is in our hand. This is one thing that Krishna does not control, we say sometimes, is our desire. Because by our desire we came to the material world. So that desire is the root cause of all the, which Buddhists also say like that. Desire is the root cause of every all unhappiness. So do away with desires. They say become desireless. Our philosophy is not like that, to become desireless, because we cannot become desireless. Because we are living beings, we cannot become desireless. Our thing is, okay, have only spiritual desires. Don't give up all desires, that's not, or dovetail your material desires. We say like, dovetail your, connect with Krishna. Okay. As a person aggrieved by hunger and thirst is not pleased by the external gratification of flower garlands or sandalwood pulp. If you're hungry and somebody says, "Here is a nice garland, take," or they put sandalwood pulp on your body, but you are hungry inside. So, so uh, Chitraketu Maharaj is saying that yes, by all these external things, I cannot become happy because my internally my heart is not fulfilled. I am not pleased with my empire, opulence, or possessions, which are desirable even for great demigods, because I have no son. So I am not pleased with all these things because there is a but. Right? We said but. So internally, if you are not fulfilled, then externally you may have everything, then it doesn't satisfy. Sometimes if you have some internal guilt, then that guilt or something will keep going, and everything externally may be very nice, but if internally, that's what Arjuna said to Krishna. Krishna, even if I win the kingdom, internally I will not feel happy. Why? Because I would have killed my guru and I would have killed my grandfather. How can I be happy? This victory will be tainted with their blood. So how can I be happy internally? So we say no pillow is as softer as a clear conscience. So in our heart, we should be very clear, and then we will be happy. Of course, only the pious souls feel like that. When they do something wrong, in their heart they feel. Those who are not pious, they can keep doing wrongs and they don't feel anything because they become insensitive to hurting others like that. They are not sensitive. So, but devotee is very sensitive also to others' feelings and others' distress and like that. So, Prabhupada cried when he saw these beggar children competing with the dogs. So he is very soft-hearted. Becomes moved by compassion, and then of course he wants to give Krishna. So that is why the devotee will preach, because he feels very sad seeing the suffering, paradukha dukhi of others. So, like Narad Muni was moved seeing the animals half dead, right? He was feeling so much in his heart. So that soft-heartedness, Prabhupada says, is the quality of a pure devotee. We also say by chanting, when our heart will become soft like butter and pure. And soft-heartedness means compassion, compassion for other beings. And how will they feel? What is that? So, okay. Therefore, O great sage, please save me and my forefathers who are descending to the darkness of hell, because I have no progeny. So he was worried because he had no child. And how will the kingdom go on? Kindly do something so that I may have a son to deliver us from hellish conditions. He is thinking that my child will do Shraddha and then I will be delivered from hell. But that is one way to have. But the other thing is, why don't we only ourselves purify our existence? Why we have to depend on others? We can take it like that also. Why can't we chant Hare Krishna? Why we others should chant Hare Krishna for us? We should chant Hare Krishna ourselves and we purify our existence. So it doesn't mean if you don't have a child, then you will not be delivered. If you are pure and if you surrender to Krishna, you will be delivered. But he's, of course, maybe he wants to retire and he wants to give his kingdom to somebody else. But he's saying, please save me and my forefathers who are descending to the darkness of hell, because I have no progeny. Kindly do something so that I may have a son to deliver us from hellish conditions.
Mhm. Uh, so Narsinghadev also told Prahlad Maharaj, 21 generations will be liberated because of you being a pure devotee. But Prabhupada clarifies what that liberation means. Not that they will go back home, back to Godhead. They will get an opportunity to practice Krishna consciousness by coming in association of devotees, because ultimately everybody has to become a pure devotee themselves. Nobody is like, we have to do it ourselves, our own journey, personal journey. Other people can help,
Yeah.
like having a good son, but the opposite is also true. I mean, you can have a son who does so many sinful activities, and because of which you will have to suffer the the sins, part of the sins, because it's your responsibility. It is your child, right? Just like any praja does something, the king gets the sinful reaction. Same thing, parents get part of the sinful reaction because they were supposed to train the child, and the child can turn out to be anything. He can turn out to be a criminal also.
Yeah. So, so yeah, according to Vedic civilization, one gets married simply to have a son. So the reason you get married is to have a son who is needed to offer oblations to his forefathers. Prabhupada is saying like that. There is some saying like that. Marriage is to have children. King Chitraketu responsibly desired to beget a child so that he and his forefathers might be delivered from the darkest regions. He was concerned with how to get pinda, oblations, in the next life, not only for himself but also for his forefathers. So only if the child is a devotee, religious person, that he will do all these things. Therefore requested Angira Rishi to favor him by doing something that could help him get a son. Anyway, this is is thinking like that. So maybe he is not completely purified. Of course, he has his kingdom to give, but then maybe he could give it to somebody who is not his son also. Right? We may think like that. Why should only my son inherit the throne? If there's somebody who is qualified, they can also rule somebody else's child who may be qualified. They can rule the kingdom. So there is some kind of flaw in this thinking, according to what we have heard from Prabhupada and other places, right? So
Mhm. And also, see, the scriptures say a son, a daughter doesn't cannot deliver. I mean, according to, why is it? It should say child, right? So that's why in many of the Indian families, they're not satisfied with just daughters. I want a son. I want a son. Like, and then they may kill the daughters also in the womb. That we don't want any more daughters.
yeah, yeah, that is not correct because they are not educated. Everybody is spirit soul, part and parcel of Krishna, whether female or male. Yeah, it's just the body is different. But because they like, in India, they sometimes the parents would not go to the daughters, parents of the daughter after the daughter is married, then they would not go to the daughter's home because now they think that the daughter has been the property of the, they would not take any money, and so they think like the daughter will not give them anything. All these things have come up, like, so something like that. So and then son would stay with them, daughter will go to the husbands, then who will take care of them, right? And the daughter will supposed to take care of her husband, and who will take care of them. So in this way they do the calculation, and they think, yeah, this daughter is not going to, we have to spend so much on our daughter, who will then become the property of somebody else, like that, kanyadan and things like that. Then we will not get back in return, you know, all this kind of thing is there, calculation, and that's why they don't. So, and sometimes the in other, like, they would not go. The parents of the daughter will not go and stay with their daughter after marriage because they cannot take water or anything from there, like that. Something they, some traditions. I don't know if you heard about it, but maybe Somebody can say like that, but that's they feel like that they should not go in.
Yeah. Correct.
So anyway, that's why also they feel like, yeah, daughter is going to be a liability with nothing. So it's expectation, right? What can you expect? So that's why they don't like. But this is not the right way to think, right? So
And they have to give dowry also for her marriage.
dowry is there and so many things. And Manish wants to say something also.
Yeah, so actually, Prabhu, what I heard that this daughter killing girl thing started during the Mughal period, because what Mughal used to do, they will kidnap and they will rape and all of those. So that is when actually these all bad practices started just recently, like couple of 100 years back. This was not
Mughals.
true Vedic tradition.
Okay, so that's how it started. Okay. Mughals used to kidnap the daughters of Hindus and then rape them or what? Yeah. So that's why they didn't want to have daughters. That's what he's saying.
Mm. Yeah, but now people have different consciousness when they're killing daughters. That because they don't want a daughter, they want a son.
So also like in the Hindu tradition, right? Currently in India, the marriage happen in the night time. That also started during Mughal period, because if they are marrying in the daytime, they will come and kidnap and all of these things happen. So
Oh,
Mm.
a lot of things changed during the Mughal time.
because nighttime you generally don't do like anything sanskaras, right?
Right, right,
It's
correct.
not the.
But it started because they will not allow, and they will do in hiding marriage ceremony in the evening or that night time.
Yeah, somebody also was saying, I don't know if this is true, that people used to die of contagious diseases, right? So after death, you are not supposed to go like like sometimes now people say for 1 year we cannot go to the temple because during previous times what happened is that if they had contagious diseases and if the family members were in close contact with that person, then they would go to a public place and they would spread the thing to others. So that's why it was restricted. For because of 1 year you can't. Okay, few days I understand, maybe some scriptural thing is there, but 1 year some people say, oh, for 1 year we cannot do any ceremony because somebody died in our family. So I cannot make any logical sense of this. Why you cannot go, and why would that restriction be there? Because recently I asked somebody, can we have program? He said, we had recently had that program with Patri Prabhu at their place. And they said, no, no, our parents are saying that somebody died. And that also not in here, somewhere outside, somewhere in some Nepal or somewhere. They said, no, we cannot do because, 1 year we are not supposed to do any. That bewilders, that escapes my, I don't know how
So
logical.
these are mainly for Karam Kanda, right? So even Chitraketu Maharaj is talking about giving oblation.
Yeah.
That is also not devotional activity. That is actually they are still in this same in the universe. They are rotating one birth after another birth, right? So
Yeah. But some people say Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also went to do Shraddha for his father. At Gaya, he went to do Pinda. So, okay, anyhow, so,
Yeah, we can do that, but that's in addition to spiritual things. We can follow this, but that's not the only thing. Actual thing is chanting and scripture reading, doing katha program at your home and feeding the Vaishnavas.
yeah, okay, so, Anything else? Anything to say on these points? Okay, so we will continue. Actually, I have that Bhakti Shastri, so I just want to take a little break, but we can chant for 10 minutes and then we'll start the Bhakti Shastri call. It'll be on Zoom, so I have to post and
Yeah.
things like that. So we'll maybe chant or just end this call here for now. Unless you want to sing some bhajan, we can sing some bhajan also. Or say something else.
Actually, Preeti is coming to my home, so I'll be busy also.
Oh, okay. This morning. Okay.
Yeah, right now.
Okay, okay. That's why she's not on the call. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So we'll stop here then for today, and then those who are on the Bhakti Shastri, they can join. Hare Krishna, everyone.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Prabhu, Hare Krishna.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.